What's up, everybody? This is Ian Beckles, and I'm on the youngest in the Yacht Club. You gotta check it out. One love.
Ain't no gang, they want the money and fame. We go to the city and we don't be tucking our chain. Woke up in paradise and we live in the drain. I know it won't be the same. Someone will put a cocaine. Fly Latino gang. I used to dream of something like this.
Youngest in the Yacht Club. I am Vince Serrano. Super excited, super hyped. I got a real good guest of mine right now. His name is Ian Beckles. What's up, Ian?
What's good, brother?
I'm good, bro. I'm good, man. Yo, man, thanks for coming on the show, bro.
My pleasure.
Absolutely. We always start off Youngest in the Yacht Club with a question. Who is Ian Beckles?
Oh, shit. Who is Ian Beckles?
Yep.
Ian Beckles is an old crusty cat that's been through some stuff.
Crusty, though.
Yeah, I'm old and crusty, man. I'm 56 years old, so I'm old and crusty compared to you, my brother.
Yeah, but it's okay. You're not crusty.
But it's all good, man. I'm saying crusty in a good way. Crustiness means wise, you know. Been through some stuff. You know, played 9 years in the NFL, but that's not what I do, you know. There's a lot of other things that I do and did. You know, when I'm gone and on my gravestone, I'm maybe we won't even say NFL on it. Maybe we say some other things that I accomplished. So
Absolutely,
football is just something that I did, but it's a big part of me, and I get that. But I like to expand my horizons to a lot more than that, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. And yo, it's good that you said that because especially when you start saying that, I bet you get a lot of calls because of your NFL career, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think because of my NFL career, it opens a lot of doors for me, and I think I use that to my advantage. But once you get in the door, then you got to sell. You know what I mean? So,
Salesman.
as far as being in the Tampa area, I would put myself up against anybody as far as exposure to media. You know, I've been in the radio for 20-something years. Before I got in radio, I owned a magazine for a couple of years. I've done television work, social media. I own a marketing company. I have a kava bar. I'm involved in the cannabis world. There's a lot of things I'm putting my hands on. So, I'm just trying to do a little of everything and bring everybody together and try to connect all the dots.
Yeah, you are the big connector, dog.
I tried, bro. I tried.
Big fact. Yeah. We know a couple of people. You know, it's funny that you said that. It's like, a lot of business owners that I said, they said they don't necessarily like it, but because they've owned a business, people talk to you different. Because you're in the NFL, people are going to talk to you different.
Sure.
And so it's funny that you say that, man. And you got your hands on everything. You mentioned the Kava Cannabis, Dignitary Cafe is your cafe, which is awesome here in Tampa. Been there quite a few times.
There you go.
What made you want to get into that field? Like,
it's funny that I've been in that building for maybe 7 years. It might be 8. It's been a long time. I mean, I lived in that building for a while I was going through a divorce. So
wow.
I definitely have that building's going to have an era in my life. You know, so I started off by just being an office space on 1/3 of the building, and we had a print shop on the other 2/3 of it. Then the print shop was going under, and the landlord said, either you take over the whole building or you got to go. So on a whim, I said, well, I live here anyway, so let me just consider it as my house.
Right.
So I literally lived there for 3 years, and it wasn't really anything. It was really a workspace where people could come hang out. It was a cafe for a little bit, but nobody was really coming. And then out of the blue, I just said, I'm going to stop drinking. Okay, so I was a drinker, no doubt.
Yeah.
I stopped drinking, and right as I stopped drinking, I was exposed to kava and kratom. And, as a former athlete, I have my bumps and bruises, my aches and pains, and everybody kind of needs a vice,
Yeah.
Alcohol was my vice, and alcohol is not a great vice, okay? It gets you in trouble. So right after that, I found kava and kratom. And then as I fell in love with kava and kratom as, my way out, so to speak, I realized there was no kava and kratom bars in all of South Tampa.
Wow.
And I asked the question, why is that? Nobody can answer the question. So I'll say, I'll be damned if I don't open the first kava and kratom bar in South Tampa. And I did it. And that was about a little over 2 years ago. And 2 years later, I could say it's a success. The doors are still open. There's probably people packed in there right now, so life is good. Life's good.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. You mentioned right now, you said you had some vices and stuff like that, like alcohol and things like that. But you needed like you had your bumps and bruises and stuff like that. Like where did you come from? Like, where did you come from? How'd you grow up?
Okay.
Like,
I'm from Montreal, Canada originally. My parents are from the West Indies, Guyana and Trinidad. So they didn't have anything growing up. I didn't grow up poor, but I didn't grow up with anything that I had, I earned. You know, I wasn't the kind of kid that had allowances and all this crap. I had to work,
right.
you know, and to do whatever I did. If I wanted a bike, I had to work to get a bike. My kids were definitely brought up a little bit different, and they're definitely a little bit more blessed. But you know, being from Montreal, you know, being a 6'1" offensive lineman, you know, it wasn't laid out for me. You know what I mean? Like a lot of other people, you're 6'7", you're from California, you're like this high profile guy, and I'm like, that's cool. But I had to fight for everything that I have throughout my whole career, even today. It just seems like I've always been underestimated. But then at the end of it, you're like, damn, he was pretty good. Like at the time, you know, and I didn't feel it at the time. Like while I was playing for the I played here for 7 years. So I started for 7 years for the Buccaneers. Didn't even realize anybody was really watching or paying attention, okay? Because while you're doing it, it's your job, and that's what you do. And after the fact, you know, you're told by some people 35, 30, 40 years old that I grew up watching you and you were my favorite player. And, you know, I remember this, and I remember when you met me in 1990. So you realize you touched a lot of lives when you didn't even know you were touching lives. So I'm still trying to touch lives every day and try to instill my knowledge on some young people who want to listen.
Yeah, no, man, that's a deep story, dude. I think that's huge. You talked about you were underestimated, man.
Always.
Went 6'1" offensive lineman.
Yeah.
What does that mean when you're coming out of college or high school or any of that?
What it means is you're going to be looked over. Like I literally had scouts come out of the room after watching my film, and they go, "How tall are you, son?" And I go, 6'3", and they laughed. They go, "How tall are you, son?" I go, 6'2", and they look closer. And they go, "You're 6'1", son." I go, "What difference does it make?" And they go, "Well, I had a scout tell me if you were 6'5", you'd be a first-round draft pick." And I go, "But I'm 6'1", what's the difference?" He goes, 4 rounds. That's what he told me.
Wow.
And I was like, wow. Like, he told me, like, if you use the same film, if I was 4 inches taller, I'd be drafted 4 rounds earlier. So, fast forward to when you get to the NFL, all the guys that got drafted before me who were 6'5" and 6'6", who got drafted because of that, didn't succeed. Okay, so to me, I felt like saying, I don't give a rat's ass how tall that cat is. He's not better than me. And that's been my mentality my whole life. And I think when you're given things, when you're a first-round draft pick, you're given something. You earned it in college, okay, God bless, but what you did in college really doesn't matter.
Right.
Because half the first-rounders fail anyways.
Big fact.
But when you're given something, you didn't earn it. I had to earn everything. Like, I came in as a 5th-round pick. My first practice, I was 2nd string.
Right.
My second practice was the same day I was 1st string.
Damn.
So, like, I overthrew the last year's starter in the first practice. So I wasn't coming and playing, though. You know what I mean?
Were you drafted by the Bucs?
I was drafted by the Bucs, but in the 5th round.
Right.
Like, so you don't really draft 5th-rounders to start. Not really.
Right.
If he starts, God bless.
Yeah.
So my first practice, I was 2nd string. Second practice, I was 1st string, and I stayed there. So,
Fire.
But along the way, they were always bringing in people to beat me out. Not because I didn't play well, just because I wasn't that prototypical guy.
That's the nature of the business,
Correct.
You're never happy with what you got.
It seems that way. It still seems that way, but I'm used to it by now.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think maybe because that kind of conditioned you, maybe your life from before probably conditioned you to be like, yo, I don't care who's in front of me, who's behind me.
That's fine. I don't care what I'm doing, what I'm participating in. I think I'm going to win. And if something happens and, you know, listen, I was in radio for 20-something years. My bosses were like, hey, man, let's meet on Friday. I'm like, cool, what's going on? Oh, it's some new stuff. Cool. Go in there. 0 chance. I would have said there was 0 chance I'm going to get fired. 0. I got fired.
Wow.
I mean, to me, everybody's like, they can't fire you. You're the best thing on the station. I'm like, well, that's what I thought. But, you know, when you think you're expendable, then you're gone. But, you know, while it happened, I was upset for probably 4 minutes or so. And as I was driving home, I'm like, fuck, them. I go, it's not about performance.
Right.
Because, they asked me to come and they asked me to bring the ratings back up. I did that. The ratings stayed up. So you fired me because you guys couldn't sell and you guys couldn't pay my salary.
Right.
That's all. That's what happened. So I just said, screw it. I would move on and lose my energy. And the energy I put into the radio, I put it into my shop, and it showed. And then later on, if somebody asked me to do radio right now full time, I'd have to think about it.
Yeah.
Because I'm tired of working for the man, though.
Yeah,
I'm tired.
legit.
I'm tired.
You want to work for yourself. You're
Hell
an
yeah.
entrepreneur.
Straight
Straight
through
up.
and through. I think I'm an entrepreneur to a fault. Like I can't stop thinking about creating businesses
That's fire.
all day. Like somebody will say something, I'm thinking, why don't I start that business? Like somebody will say, there's not enough sticks. Why don't I start selling sticks? Like it just, I don't know why.
You're a hustler.
I can't help it. And if I can sell this water, I'm gonna sell the water.
What?
That's it.
Why do you think that happened? What is that? Is it the way you got up? It was a business school in college? Was it being around people? What was it?
I just think I hustle, man. Like I said, I grew up with nothing.
Yeah.
And I had paper routes growing up. And paper route in Florida is sexy. I don't even know if there is paper routes anymore. They probably don't, but
Right.
Well, picture a paper route's not sexy in Montreal, Canada in December.
In cold.
In 4 o'clock in the morning. All right, so you think cold, but I have to get up in the morning and do that and through blizzards, walking through snow and all that crap. So nothing was given to me, but I had to figure out ways to make money, and I guess you just kind of develop that personality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people say you're a good salesman, and I always tell them it's because I'm not selling anything. If you try to sell something, it doesn't work.
Right.
What I do is I put my name on things that I believe in, and that makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
Like Fleming's, okay? Fleming's is a restaurant. I've been going there forever.
Right.
My boy Jorge Diaz, who I play ball with, who's a manager there, I'm going there tonight before the hockey game. You know what I mean? So, but Fleming's, I put my name on it. Like I know I'm not selling to you when I say Fleming's is amazing. I'm there. I experience it, and every time I go, it's fantastic. So that's not selling something.
Right.
When people are selling something, you know they're selling something.
Yeah, you know if they believe in it or not,
Correct.
if they're rocking with it or not, if they actually have it, if they're using it.
That's facts, yeah.
And you believe in the stuff, and so it's easy. It's easy when you believe in it, right?
It's not selling.
Right. Okay, so you got into radio as well, and I want to kind of touch on that a little bit. But when you got into college, right before you got drafted, where'd you go to college? Like,
I went to junior, being from Montreal, Canada, I wasn't highly recruited. Once again, Purdue came, Big Ten school, and they looked at my film and said, you're good, but you're too small to play in the Big Ten. Okay. So then I went to junior college for 2 years in Forest City, Iowa, tiny town in Iowa.
Yeah.
I think there's 7,500 people in the town.
Legit. I went to college in Iowa in Pella.
Did
Pella,
you?
Iowa.
So that
I
really?
I know the 4,000 people
But I ain't
in the
telling
town.
you nothing then.
Yeah.
I ain't telling you nothing. You know what I'm talking. Hey.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, I went to Waldorf Junior College.
Waldorf, yeah,
absolutely.
that's a pretty big JUCO. Like
now it is.
Right.
Now I hear it's a 4-year school, and they have underground tunnels and stuff. Not when I was there, brother. No, I mean, it was old school.
Yeah.
There was 400 people in the school.
Yeah.
There was 2 black girls in the school. One was from deep Africa. The other one was from like Papua New Guinea. It was a culture shock to go from Montreal, Canada, to Forest City, Iowa.
Tell me about
Like
it.
I went from a melting pot
City
to the whitest place on earth.
Yeah, steak and potatoes.
It's, and that's not a knock. It's just white.
It is.
It's
It is.
freaking white.
It is what it is.
Like there's not even Spanish people.
Nah, Mexicans.
None.
If there were.
Not in Forest City. No,
in Forest City, nah.
Not then.
We were right. I was 45 minutes from Des Moines, so I get what you're saying. Like you're
That's
even
deeper.
Yeah.
Nah, man. There's no colors in there, dog. It's almost see through.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
We played Waldorf when they were JUCO, so I get it.
Okay,
yeah. It's cool though. You said it was a culture shock, right?
Yeah, it was culture shock.
How do you so you went there, you played JUCO, you have to adjust.
Correct.
What is driving you, bro? Because I came from Florida. I hadn't seen snow in 10 years.
Yeah.
That Iowa snow, I know you were used to it.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Right, but the people though, right?
Yeah.
How do you keep your head focused? Obviously, like what are you pursuing at that time?
I just know that was the path. Okay, so Like I had a roommate, Sean Stewart, who I grew up with. We went to Iowa together from Montreal. We were best friends, and we decided to go together.
Wow.
So, one time Sean says, I'm going home. And I was like, and then what? He was, I can't do this. And I go, well, I'm not going home and tell my mother I quit. I'm not doing that. And if I go home, I quit. And then what? I go, I'm going to be an NFL player. And if I go home, I'm not. So I'm not going anywhere.
Wow.
So Sean ended up staying because I would have kicked his ass if he left. And I'm saying that as a joke. I don't even know if I could kick Sean's ass. Sean's a bad son of a bitch. So, but he stayed. We grinded through. It's just that when I put my mind to something, there's no options. You know what I mean? I'm still that way.
Right.
I'm still like some people. I tend to do things, and people will say, "Well, I can't do that." Like I just stopped drinking. I was a drinker. I just said, I'm done. What do you mean you just stopped? I just stopped. That's it. I've been able to do things that were hard. Not about 4 months ago, I read something on fasting, and I fasted for 15 days. Okay. People are like, that's impossible. I go, well, how is it impossible if I just did it? So like, I've always tested my limits, and that's in everything. Okay. I was a guy, and I could just talk, but I live in the same town where I participated. You know what I mean?
Yeah, legit.
I was always the first one in the locker room. I was always the first one in the weight room. I ain't gonna let nobody outwork me. I mean, nobody. As I was going through, I didn't know I was leaving legacies, places. Like I had, I think Tom Allen is the Indiana football coach.
Yeah.
And I like his attitude. His thing is Leo, love each other. And I think that's a beautiful thing. It's a family thing. I had him on the air one day, and he'd heard of me. And I go, hey, coach, I went to Indiana a long time. He goes, I know of you, Ian. So I said, blah, blah, blah. At the end of it, I said, hey, coach, did anybody ever beat my bench press record? He says, nope, it's still here. So nobody's beaten my bench press record from 1989.
That's fire. How much was that?
475. Yeah. Yeah.
A quarter ton.
Yeah, and let me let everybody know that is clean. Okay, that is not clean. I'm talking about no drugs. You hear me?
Wow.
Because I had roommates at that time taking steroids. They all got popped. I had never taken a steroid in my life. I take testosterone now because I'm old.
Yeah.
But back then I took nothing except for protein and steak. You know what I'm saying? So I did it clean. I did it the right way. Ended up benching 500 pounds when I was in the league after that.
That's crazy.
So, it's not possible to bench 500 pounds unless you're kicking some ass.
Yeah, unless you really
you got that's work right there, man. That's a process.
That's fire, dude. So you ended up going to Indiana?
Yeah.
How okay, so you went from Waldorf to Indiana.
Yeah.
How does that
it's as much of a culture shock. When I got to Indiana, there was 2 all Big Ten guards there already. So they didn't really bring me there to beat them out. So they didn't give me a chance to beat them out. So my junior year, I sat on the bench. I played like 1 or 2 games, and I used up my eligibility. So I had 1 year of eligibility left. So nobody knew of me my senior year. Nobody.
Wow.
Never ever heard of me. Who are you? You know.
And you had sat behind these guys for a year.
But they were all Big Ten
for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. They are the line.
No doubt. So and the center who came back the next year, Ron Vargo, he came back and he was kind of the big deal because he was a returning starter, and so I won the right guard spot or the strong guard spot, and had a high ankle sprain in preseason, which is the worst thing in your senior year. So I kind of toughed through my senior year, but then I look back and I was like, I toughed through it with a lot of injuries, but then I still had the pancake block record. I still did this, and the hammer is the hit of the game.
Yeah.
Every win we had, I had the hammer.
Oh yeah. You were laying.
Oh no, I don't know.
You were balling even on a sprained ankle.
You won't hear me say I'm good a lot.
Right.
But I brought hats though. I brought hats. Like, nobody's gonna tell me I was pussy. That's for sure.
Right.
I'm not gonna have that one.
Yeah.
I'm not having that. Nah.
And so did that you playing hurt through injury? Did that hinder you? Obviously you were injured, but what did you do to get through that? Like, what kind of adversity?
That's just what you got to do. I mean, my last year in junior college, I played with I broke my foot in preseason.
Wow.
So I played every game on a broken foot. I didn't miss one practice. I didn't miss one drill. I didn't complain one time.
Wow.
And then at the end of the year, my coach didn't even tell the scouts that I had a broken foot.
Wow. Yeah, good.
No, you're supposed to. No, at the end of the year, if I play with a broken foot, you better tell somebody my foot's broken.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah, yeah.
You know, 'cause that's a big deal.
Wow, yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah, you did your thing.
Absolutely.
And on a broken foot, yeah.
Like, even you can see me laboring, but if you don't say nothing, then, you know.
Yeah.
But I made it through. I really got to Indiana by luck because somebody flunked out. And I was the only guy kind of sitting there. They're like, yeah, come on over. So it was kind of luck. And, you know, ended up working out.
Needs.
That's it, yeah. Just give me a chance. Give me a chance.
So, your senior year, you go through it. You're oh, no worries.
My
It's all
bad.
good.
My
Yeah,
bad.
part of the set. You're going through it a little bit.
Yeah.
You're making those things happen. You finish out the year.
Mm-hmm.
You get a chance to go complete your dream, right?
Correct, yes.
How's that feeling? Now, obviously, you're getting told you're too small, but you've been told that your whole life.
Correct, yes.
It's that time.
Yeah, it was a funny process. I got through the year, had a successful year, even though I was hurt. At the end of the year, they elected captains, and I was elected a captain. You know, I mean, there was 110 players on the team.
Yeah.
And we had two captains. Anthony Thompson was one of them, and he ended up second in the Heisman Trophy ballot. He had 1,800 yards rushing.
Wow.
And I was the other captain, and I think that's a beautiful thing because I was only there for 1 year.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So, and you could ask people, you could say, like, what kind of a leader was Ian? I never said a word, ever. Like, I never stood in front of the team and said anything. I just went out and I played.
You showed by example.
That's it. Okay, so, you know, so I went through the year. At the end of the year, I got some accolades. I got all Big Ten, AP, and UPI, I think it was. I got a couple All-American things.
Wow.
And then I got invited to the Combine, and then went to the Combine, showed that I deserved to be there amongst, you know, my peers. Then the draft came, and I was the fifth round pick with the Buccaneers, and the rest is history.
And then you showed out.
Yep.
Did you get a ring?
Oh, shit, no.
You didn't get a ring?
No. Dude, I played 9 years and didn't play a playoff game.
Wow.
Didn't play I played 7 years here, 2 years in Philadelphia, and never played in a playoff game.
Damn.
You know?
And that was 9 years, the
9 years,
the career?
Went to 11 training camps. Went to 2 training camps after that, but not 9 years I got in.
Wow. How obviously, man, you touched a lot of lives. You played a position that doesn't really get a lot of love.
That's facts. That's facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How did you go to work every day, dog? Like, it's almost like the garbage man, right?
Yeah.
You need him, right?
Yeah.
But he doesn't. It's not a glamorous job.
Understandable. It's not a glamorous job, but I think I think people now realize how tough it is. Okay, guys. I don't think anybody ever really sits and thinks about it, but the offensive line is a passive position. Okay, as I say, you're throwing the ball. The guy across from you sees where the guy is behind you. You can't see him. The guy across from you is faster than you. He's taller than you. He's longer than you. A lot of times he's meaner than you. Okay, and you got to stop him from getting to the guy behind you, which you can't see.
Right.
Okay, so think about it that way. You can look at a cornerback, how hard it is to cover somebody. That looks impossible to me.
Right.
You know, if I put Warren Sapp across from you, and I was supposed to hang out with Warren today, actually, you're not going to stop him, okay? You're just, and now I look back at what I did,
Yeah.
and it looks impossible.
Every day.
It's weird. Like, I look at it now, and I go, first of all, I say, it looks crazy. It looks stupid. Like, who would do that?
Right.
And then, like, blocking Aaron Donald looks impossible now. Blocking Chris Jones looks impossible. But I block guys the same caliber as them.
Yeah.
So I think it's because I'm getting old. Because back when I just didn't know any better.
Yeah. You're just doing
And and one day somebody goes, "Hey Ian, this is really hard what you're doing. You better take a look at it." I might have just shit myself. I don't know. But I never thought about it. It's like 1 year I was watching football when I was at Indiana, and I'm watching the Minnesota Vikings playing somebody, and Keith Millard was a defensive tackle. He had 20 and a half sacks that year.
Yeah.
And I remember looking, going, man, how the hell does anybody block that guy? And this was like, you know, in November or whatever.
Yeah.
So then let's fast forward to the next September. I'm sitting in, that's not that long.
Right. Yeah. November to September.
Yeah, so I'm sitting in a meeting, and Ray Perkins is going, we're going to come out in left formation. That means most of the game, Gruber's going to be against Dolman, and Beckles going to be against Millard. And I was sitting there going, what the F just happened? Like, what happened?
They just set me up.
No, I was like, what? I don't think I liked what you just said.
Right.
And then, but it all worked out. And like I said, I didn't really sit and think about how hard it was, because I think if you do, you're in trouble.
Yeah, for sure. You got to have this confidence and this belief that you can get it done no matter what, right?
Period.
Even when it looks like it's like impossible.
Well, that's the best. I've always liked challenges. You know what I mean? I like a challenge.
Yeah.
And I like to say I did. I like people say I can't. I said, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
That makes me feel good. It really does.
So you end up retiring, right? Well, okay.
I don't think anybody retires.
So they tell you to sit down?
No, the game just passes you by. The game will tell you when it's time for you to go. Straight up, I'm just telling you.
I love that, bro.
It's real. It's real.
The level that you were at, it's important to hear these things, especially for the kids seeing it.
Yeah.
The game kind of like moves.
Well, it's once again, I would love to play today. You know what I mean? But it's silly. I know. I had some people say to me just last week, "You think you could go out there?" And I go, "Do what?" They go, "You think you could still play?" And I go, "Not only can I not play, I'm not sure I could last. I'll play."
Exactly.
Without getting you're gonna get hurt,
right?
Like that. Like, okay, you think you could just get off the couch and block Vita Vea? You've never seen him then, because I mean he's 6'2", 370. Yeah. He moves like a cat.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do to stop him?
Right.
Like, I have surgically repaired ankles, feet, knees.
Right.
I got old hips. I got old shoulders. I got old fingers, wrists. I could keep going. My neck better not hit him.
Right.
So it's not gonna happen. So the reality of it is you got to be young and strong, okay? What happens with football, unlike other things, if you're a CPA or you're a lawyer,
right?
If you're a 22-year-old lawyer, you're going to be so much better when you're 35, period, because of the experience.
Right.
You can't say that about football. Because at 35, you're probably not going to be better than you are at 22. You're more wise.
Right, you're smarter.
But you're smart. If you took Tom Brady's brain today and you made him 25, everybody is effed. Everybody, I'm serious.
That's straight fuck.
Everybody is effed because it would be too much. If I was out there right now and you give me a young body with the knowledge that I have of football, I would kill everybody.
Yeah.
Because it's a knowledge thing, and once you get it, you're too old. You're too old.
Oh.
You get too old. And then you're like, damn, I know it now.
Yeah.
But you can't do it anymore because it's physically taxing.
How was that transition?
I'm still transitioning. I mean, once again, it's over. Like, some people don't deal with it well. I just don't not deal with it well, if that makes any sense. I've never let anything trip me out.
For sure.
Nothing. Like, I've had tragedies happen in my life, and I just deal with it. And maybe one day I'm going to break down in a puddle of tears. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm the kind of guy, I'm the old wise cat that people come for advice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of times I'm just going to say, oh, okay, you're in a cocoon. What is it giving you? What is it giving you? What are you getting from it? Or I'm depressed, I can't get up. All right, but then what? So what? You think anybody else cares? You know, if you're depressed, get up, drink some water, go work out, go for a walk. Go to the beach. We live in Florida. Go to the beach and sit there and look at the ocean. I've never seen anybody looking at the water depressed.
Right.
I've never seen anybody working or walking depressed. So nobody wants to hear you're depressed. I'm not saying there's no depression.
Right.
But if you ain't fighting, you ain't trying.
Big facts. And if you're letting that shit bother you, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you're letting it affect you every day and then affect other people around you.
Yeah.
Because that shit spreads.
Well, like, my thing is, listen, like, this is my mentality, okay? If you bitch and moan, it exists. Your brain listens to everything you say. So if you say I'm out of shape, then you're out of shape.
Yep.
Because your brain's listening to you, okay? I don't say that, okay? Sometimes I joke that I'm old, but I am joking. Okay, because I still think I can whoop a 32-year-old. Okay, so I am still
still
joking.
Got it in there.
But I try to keep everything positive, and I try to keep everything real as well.
Right.
Because when you come to me, if you came to me and say, yo, Ian, I got a question for you, I'm not going to consider your feelings. That's not where I am in my life. And I really don't think I've ever been that guy. If you don't want to hear reality, don't come to me.
Right.
I'm that guy. Like I own a kava bar, and I've had people that I don't know come to me for advice. And later on, I heard that I crushed their dreams. Not literally.
Yeah.
Like I had somebody in the back of my kava bar. She was living in the back of the kava bar. Outside. She was living there.
Wow.
Because I allowed her to. She had nowhere else to go.
Right.
Gave her some money. I said, here, you can hang out here, blah, blah, blah. Then one day she goes, I need some advice. And I go, what do you need? What do you think I should do? She goes, I go, what do you mean? I go, how are you making money? She goes, well, I think I want to become an influencer. And I go, well, you live in the back of a kava bar. And she goes, yeah, but I'm going to become an influencer. I go, who are you going to influence? And she didn't have any answers for me. And I said, in all due respect, I think you should get a job, make some money, and then do an influencer stuff on the side, and then make that your hustle and get good at it, and then make it into something. If somebody says to me, I don't have a job, I'm a podcaster, I'll give you the middle finger and say, no, you're not. Okay? No, you're not. If you told me you're a podcaster, I'd say, no, you're not.
Yeah.
You think you're making a living by podcasting?
Yeah.
That ain't happening.
Right.
So that hurt her feelings. Went to my other business partner, says, I'm not coming back. He crushed my dreams. And then the next day, she was Baker acted.
Damn.
The next day, she was Baker acted.
Damn. Ian, maybe that helped her, though. I hope she's doing better now.
I haven't seen her since. I haven't seen. No, I didn't make her crazy.
No,
She was already crazy. She was crazy.
I told her, like, yo, you're crazy.
I'm like,
she got Baker.
who you gonna influence? Crazy folks?
Yo, the crazy part about it is that, so the influencers are like the celebrities of our time, right?
That's 100%.
I read this book by Urban Meyer, and it's called Leadership, right? It's called Above the Line, Lessons in Leadership. And he said influence, Tim Grover taught this, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less.
Okay.
How can you be an influencer? How could you influence people? What are you going to tell them?
That's a good question.
And I feel like that's the question you asked her. Like, yo, how are you gonna
what,
lead people?
Like, what are you leading them with? You're living behind a kava bar. You don't even have.
Where are you leading them to?
Yeah, so are you looking for other people living behind a kava bar? Because that's a small sample. You know what I mean? And anybody out there, I make joke with podcasts. I also say this: everybody should have a podcast. If you have a business, everybody should have a podcast because it is marketing. If you own a flower shop, you should have a freaking flower podcast and let people know you know what the hell you're talking about. Because podcasts don't cost anything. You may not make money directly off the podcast,
right?
But you can make money around the podcast.
Yeah, I mean that's what we do. My youngest in the Yacht Club opened so many doors for Raleigh and myself, man.
Absolutely.
So it all comes hand in hand, man. It all comes hand. You're an influencer, man.
I mean, I don't love the title because I don't like titles.
Right,
okay?
right.
And that's real. I mean, I don't want nobody to call me Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative because I'm a little of everything.
Right.
Like I've never been a Democrat or Republican. I'm Canadian. I don't give a shit. They both sides suck
I'm Canadian.
a dick. Both sides, okay? Because we only react to the extremists, okay?
Yeah.
So we only react to the extreme Democrats and the extreme Republicans and the extreme Muslims and the extreme Christians, and the rest of the 90% of the world is in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay, so, I try to stay away from titles. Influencer to me is a title, okay? Yeah. It's almost like leader. If you call, I used to hate to hear Joe McCoy say, I'm a leader. Suck a dick. You've never heard Warren Sapp say it. You never heard Derek Brooks say it. You never heard John Lynch say it. You never heard Rodney Barber say it. They just were. You never heard Tony Dungy say it. If you're telling me you're my leader of what? What are you leading me? First of all, then they weren't even good anyways. You know what I mean? So influencer to me is a title. And I hear people saying I'm an influencer. I'm thinking, you're an influencer? If you're an influencer, then I don't want to be in that group.
I don't want to be influenced by you.
Here's another one. Foodie. I'm not a foodie. I just know more about food than you. I'm not a foodie because I'm a foodie. I went to Carrabba's yesterday. Get the hell out of here. Look, I love meat. I love cooking it. I love preparing it. I love everything about it.
Right.
I've been to all the restaurants. I mean, if Carrabba's is your type, and Carrabba's is good.
Right.
But if that's your go-to, then you ain't a foodie.
You ain't it.
No, you ain't. I mean, not to the level I'm talking about.
Man, I feel like we can have down-to-earth conversations, man. I feel like that also is probably, and I'm leading into the next segment, but That's probably due to your experience in radio.
Probably. Well, I mean, it's Wednesday. Monday and Tuesday, I did the Mike Calta show for 4 hours.
Congrats,
okay?
man.
I mean, like, Mike Calta is the man.
Yeah, and you were covering?
So Mike Calta took the week off, and
wow.
last week, Carmen, his assistant, said, Ian, would you like to, sub in for one of these days or both? And I said, I'll take both.
That's fine.
So, I mean, they have a whole station of people that pick from. They choose me. I've been on radio for 20-something years, so this mic's been in my face for a long time.
So you know what time it is.
Everybody that does a show with me, everybody.
I know.
They go, man, we have a good flow. And I go, I know. I know. Because I've been flowing with everybody since you haven't thought about radio. I mean, if you talk about radio, I did radio with Ron Diaz for 20 years. As far as the dawn of radio in Tampa Bay, it's Ron Diaz.
Yeah.
Period. He's the dawn, okay? He started Larry the Cable Guy all back in the day when they were Tampa base in the 80s, and they would have, shows in Miami at the beach, and there'd be thousands of people there at 5 o'clock in the morning. It was crazy back then. Like, that was kind of like the first Howard Stern back in the day.
Wow.
So I worked with Ron for 20 years. I worked with Mike Calta, who is an offshoot of Ron.
Right.
Okay, and he's the Don now.
Comes from the same.
Yeah, it's the same cloth.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So at the end of it, when I pass and they do the radio lore, man, spell my name right.
Yay,
Spell
big facts.
my
Big
name right.
facts, dog.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Ian Beckles. Make sure you get it right, man.
Yeah, right?
So the first day though, you on radio.
Yeah.
Like, how did you even get there?
Good question. I was at Extreme Gym, and there was a girl who worked for the Buccaneers, Jane Portnoy, and we're on the Stairmaster, and she looked at me and she goes, you ever listen to sports radio? And I go, no, what's that? And she goes, they sit around, they talk about sports, and I go, nah. And she goes, I think you'd be good at it. And I go, I just don't know what it is. She goes, put on, and I don't remember what the station was at the time, and she goes, listen to it. So I listened to it, I go, oh, this is terrible. I go, these guys don't know what they're talking about. So then I hear that they have an audition for an opening at the station. So I put my name in the hat, and I think it was me and 12 other people. So I got it. I didn't know what to expect. They were asking me questions about football. I was answering questions. I've always been somewhat eloquent. So I got up there, got the job, and I did like a pregame thing with Sandy Penner at first. So it was just Sundays for 2 hours. So that's how I kind of got my feet wet.
Yep.
So then my name was getting out there a little bit more, and people were liking what I was saying. And Chris Thomas and those guys were saying, hey, you got to listen to Ian. Ian is good, and having me on his show. And then Chris Thomas, when he was out, I would kind of sit in for Chris Thomas. So people were liking the flow, and they were like, you got to get more and more. And here's the unfortunate part. Chris Thomas, who also was, a big name in this area, was stricken with cancer, okay, at the time. So while he was sick, I was sitting in for Chris.
Oh, wow.
So I just kind of sat there for him while he was sick. I wasn't allowed to tell everybody how sick he was. I mean, I was going back and forth and meeting him at the hospital while he was dying, okay? Damn. So he literally passed the baton to me. He goes, man, it's your time now, man. And I realized that he was going, you know what I mean? So he passes. The radio station comes to me and they go, we want you to get the slot. We're going to put Ron Diaz with you. And I really didn't know much about Ron Diaz, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize who he really was until maybe a year in, when I realized that everybody's treating this guy like he's a freaking god. And he just got here. But I didn't realize that, like, how deep his radio
prowess.
It's unbelievable. You know what I mean? So, like, he's known in different states and different countries with radio. So, I was comfortable with radio. I don't think anybody's a natural at anything, but was told I'm comfortable. I'm to the point where I'm not sure I'm not better in radio than I was in football.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you speak about the people that you were with in radio like you speak about them in football. Like
it's all a family thing. It's all a team thing.
Yeah.
Like I learned from the best. Okay,
legit.
So, like literally, like I literally learned, like when somebody brings up, say somebody talked about the stretch play. Can you talk about the stretch play? I'll say, what can you tell me about the stretch play? Even people who think they know football,
right?
Because I've had people say this to me. I know as much football as you. And I go, do you? They go, yes, sir. Give me a question. And I go, okay. If we run a stretch play and you got a 3 technique, where's your head placement? He goes, what? And I go, exactly. I just sat there in a room listening to the best to ever do it teach something. I was in a room with Alex Gibbs with the Denver Broncos watching him teach the stretch play. I mean, he's the dawn of it. I listened to Bill Parcells in a room talking defense. I listened to John Gruden talking offense. I listened from the best minds of ever. I had a radio show with Ron Diaz. I did radio with Mike Calta. So I wasn't learning from schleps. You know what I mean?
Right,
So, when you learn from the best, you get good habits, and, usually it turns out well.
And so your experience, because now I see it all the time. I mean, unfortunately, ESPN has laid off a lot of them, but
it's horrible too.
I feel like the analyst who just analyze. I feel like when they brought in real players to talk about it, it became a lot more entertaining. Do you feel like that's what you bring too? Is like not just talking and coaching from the sidelines, but actually 2 feet in the trenches?
I think there's definitely a bonus to it. Yeah. I don't think it's essential though. Like I think when I listen, Jim Rome has been in radio for a long time, sports radio.
Yep.
I don't particularly love his show, but I think you have to show him love for what he's done and what he's endured, and he just doesn't do it the same show as me.
Right.
He doesn't really talk about the ins and X's and O's. He really talks about, generalities, okay?
The broad sense.
Broad stuff, you know what I mean? It's entertainment, I get it.
Yep.
Some people want to hear that. Some people want to hear the ins and outs, okay? Football is different than any other sport. I just had this discussion with a guy that works for the Vinnick group, and I'm sitting there in Amalie Arena doing the Brooks and Beckles podcast with hockey people, and I said, "Listen, I've been doing sports radio for a long time. People don't want to hear about the minutia of hockey. They don't. And listen, I'm from Montreal, Canada. Go listen to sports radio there. They're into the minutia, and I'm talking about when the hockey draft is on, when the NHL draft is on, and you're in the United States, nobody brings it up. If you go to Canada, they're going to tell you the draft is this week. That week, they're going to talk about the draft, just like we talk about the NFL draft.
Right.
So you see how further along it is?
Right.
So every sport is different, and you just got to know. You got to know the pulse of the Tampa Bay area. I think I know the pulse of the Tampa Bay area sports-wise as much as anybody else.
Yeah,
because, I mean, I played here in 1990, and I'm really still involved with sports in 2023, so it's a long-ass time.
Man, you also involved in a lot of, like you said, you're involved in a lot of businesses. You're involved. You were involved in radio.
Yep.
Now you have the podcast. You're doing a lot of things, man. In Youngest in the Yacht Club, we try to ask if you could give one person listening a gem, one gem, what would that be?
Don't be scared to fail. Because I used to be that guy that was scared to fail. Like as a big guy, I used to always kind of sit back and not try to be in the forefront. And I was kind of quiet, And even when I was in the league, I was quiet. And as I got older, I was like, well, I'm not going to let nobody step on me no more. And I got a little bit more boisterous. A little bit has to do with what you've done in your lifetime and what you've achieved. You know what I mean? Some people might think I'm cocky, okay? But I don't know anybody successful that's not cocky.
Or confident.
They're the same word to me.
Legit.
They're the same,
I get it all the time.
They're the same effing word to me. Cocky and confidence the same way.
Yeah.
I think I walk into a room confident
or
cocky. It doesn't matter. To me, as long as you're not an asshole, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like I roll with some confident cats. I do the Derek Brooks podcast, and when I kind of needled Derek about his upbringing, I realized that he was way more advanced than me. Like, I maybe sound more advanced than you when you brought, I don't know, maybe not. But when I listen to Derek speak, like Derek was talking about reading leadership books in high school. And I was like, he was like, I was straight A students, and I was the first one in the class. And I was like, yeah, that wasn't me. I was the first one in the weight room.
Right.
I wasn't the first one in the class.
Right.
So everybody's different, and this is what I've learned. And I like to listen to older, established people because they've done it, they've been there. When I was in the league, Anthony Munoz was a tackle and all American, and he has a jacket. He's in the Hall of Fame. He got hurt one year with us, but I was supposed to play next to him. I couldn't pick his brain enough, okay, because I know he'd been there, done that. I'm kind of turning to that old guy where people are trying to pick my brain. But don't be scared to fail, okay? I did Dancing with the Stars, the local one, okay?
Yeah.
Julie Weintraub, I did the first one ever. I don't know how many years ago, maybe 20 years maybe. Julie Weintraub says, I want you to be in the first Dancing with the Stars. I looked at her, I go, hell no. No way. No way. Then I tried to sleep that night, and I could not sleep because I was calling myself a pussy. I go, what? Because I've never been scared of a challenge, okay? Right. And I think doing that Dancing with the Stars, knowing that I was terrified to do it, changed me as a human being.
Yeah, sure.
From that point on, I'm just not scared to fail. And if you don't fail, you ain't trying.
And you ain't doing shit.
That's what I'm saying, though. like to me, like I had a magazine for 2 years. Somebody go, it failed. No, of course it didn't fail. I had a magazine for 2 years, and I can tell people I had a magazine for 2 years, and now my eye for fashion, my eye for art, my eye for different things has changed. It's developed me differently as a person. I've had 3 clothing lines. Have they failed? Nope, because I learned for everyone.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks that these guys came out of nowhere. Bullshit. When you see them, it's the first time you see them. They've been hustling forever. Nobody just popped. Well, I'm not going to say nobody because it does happen with social media these days.
Yeah, sometimes you get the little flash in the pants.
But it's not very often. Like, we know all the situation. Everybody else has to grind and go through a process.
Right.
And just know that nothing is given to you. And I think this generation wants that instant gratification.
Yeah.
Man, you got to, if you're not uncomfortable, you're not going to make it. If you're not comfortable being uncomfortable, I've been uncomfortable my whole life, whether that is overworking, overtraining, over everything. I've always been uncomfortable. If I'm not uncomfortable, I'm uncomfortable.
So so like, you're comfortable with being uncomfortable.
That's what I'm saying. Though. Like, if I'm comfortable, something's wrong or I'm dying or something.
Right. I get like depressed in that kind of like, because I'm like, yo, why am I twiddling my thumbs?
Yo,
like,
why am I not doing something? I should be doing something. I find like I'm always doing something. I'm a very
yeah, bro. I asked you what you were doing today. What you been up to? You're like, I'm doing so much.
I'm always doing, like, say yesterday I got up. I did the Mike Calter show, which is a 6 o'clock show. So I got up at 4:30. Did the Mike Calter show till 10 o'clock. Then I did another podcast, my podcast. Then I did the Brooks and Beckles podcast. Then I come back. Then I'm doing work at the Kava Bar. So I'm always moving. Even when I'm sitting there not doing something, I find I'm doing something that's efficient.
That's fire.
It could be rolling joints.
Yeah, legit.
I gotta be doing something. Just in case, like, there's gonna be a time where I would need that joint roll.
Exactly.
So let's get it done now so I don't have to stop myself later on. But I'm efficient with my time, though.
Bro, I appreciate you for being on the show. The last part, because you talked about adventuring into the cannabis space.
Oh, I'm not adventuring.
Yeah, you in it.
I'm in it to win it. Yeah, yeah.
So what is that like now? Like, what got you in that? I know you said you had some issues with like alcohol, and then you got into kratom, and so how did you get into the weed space?
Well, now that I look back at alcohol was my thing, but I don't know if I had a problem with alcohol.
Okay,
because I think I was always like, one year I just said, well, I'm just not gonna drink all season. So I went a whole season without drinking. Nobody does that, okay?
Right.
I would say I'm going to stop drinking for 2 months and just stop, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I've always been that guy.
Right.
But cannabis, I didn't smoke till I was 35 years old.
Okay.
All right, which is later than anybody that I know.
Legit.
Who's a legitimate smoker.
Yeah.
So all my boys like, you should. I'm like, nope, because I see the drug tests and I see you guys tripping out and you guys are all stressed out because drug test is coming and what you're doing yourself to relax is counterproductive. So I'm not doing it. So when I was done out of the league, my boy was like, here, let's do it. So finally I did it. The first time, I don't think I'll ever be that high again, but it just became part of my life to where I've never been a pill guy. Thank God, okay? Because I have some of my boys who were pill guys who are not on this earth anymore, okay? Yeah. So pills are not good.
Even aspirin, all that shit. Like,
I don't know if I've taken, and I played football from the age 7 to into my 30s. I don't know if I've taken 10 Advil in my whole life, okay? I don't take aspirin. I rarely take a pill unless I have a surgery. I just don't take pills.
Yeah.
I take CMOS. I take Shilajit. I take herbs, you know what I mean? And cannabis is an herb. I don't drink alcohol anymore. Kava and kratom, which is also from the earth. I do cannabis butter, cannabis oil. But at no time am I out of sorts. At no time when you say, Ian, what's going on? And you say, well, you're inebriated. Like, I just don't do that anymore. I'm calm all the time.
Yeah, you're relaxed.
I'm calm. I hit a J on the way over here. I'm surprised you don't smell it.
It's like on cologne, bro.
I was like, I hope you don't smell it. I'm like, I don't give a shit no more.
We good.
Yeah, we good. I smoked that good too.
Yeah.
But it's become part of my life. It's part of my building, the Dignitary Tea and Kava House. We have an indoor and outdoor consumption lounge. I don't know anybody else has one.
That's fine.
If you have your medical marijuana card, show it. You can smoke inside and outside.
Wow.
We have a cannabis doctor in our building, cannabis doc. So if you don't have your card, you get your card in our building. We got a podcast room. We got a smoke shop. So it's evolved into a lot of things, and it's one-stop shopping.
Bro, and so... And what are you coming out with your own line? Are you coming out with your own strands? Are you coming out with your own?
Eventually, I said I'm not stopping until I have my own strain. Eventually, we could kind of say I kind of do.
Okay.
We already have, the marketing and, the branding done and everything like that. To have your own legal strain right now is almost impossible in Florida.
Yeah,
okay?
man.
But down the way, it's not going to be too long before you see Dignitary out there as a strain.
That's fine.
Remember, that's me when you're smoking that Dignitary.
That Dignitary.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Let everybody know where they can reach you, bro. Like where they can, obviously, you're first off, man. You're super dope, man. This is the second time you've been on here, and I appreciate it. We got a more efficient way and of recording and stuff like that, but you're easily. I would like to say you're not easily accessible, but you are a cool person.
I appreciate that.
You know what I'm saying?
And I am easily accessible.
Okay, I didn't.
All you gotta do is go to Dignitary Tea and Kava House. I'm over there right now. I'm always over there.
Hey, where can they find you though?
Well, once again, Dignitary Tea and Kava House is right on the corner of West Shore and Gandy, 4817 Southwest Shore. You go to social media, I'm pretty active there. You ain't gonna see nothing political. It would be food and stuff that I'm doing. Ian_Beckles. And then, like on the radio, I have a football show on The Bone on Saturday at noon. And I'm always popping on the Mike Calter show, and I'm on The Bone quite often. And I just try to stay relevant. So,
man, you're doing a great job of it, bro.
Pull me up,
bro. I ain't gonna lie, man. Like you said something earlier today to us, and I think it just getting the conversation with you, being able to learn from your experiences and being able to see those things, knowing don't be afraid to fail. I think that's the biggest takeaway. Like you've done a lot in your career, in your life, and I think that kind of like certifies you because you've done it. But I also think the fact that you're willing to give out game like that, bro, I appreciate that.
Well, it's my pleasure, and especially from young hustlers like yourself, because I'm gonna say this: you hear my name, and I hear this young man's name all the time. Vincent Serrano. I go, yeah, that's my guy, man. That's my dude. I hear your name all the time.
Thank you, bro.
But I hear other people's names in a bad light, but it's always in a good light. So stay true to yourself, brother. That's important.
Thank you,
That's
my brother.
important. Yeah,
got to keep the face gated, bro.
Let's rock. Yeah, man.
Thanks for coming on, bro.
My pleasure. Yeah, man.
I'm going to get a drop from you.